Welcome to the Experience Oldsmar with the Mayor podcast. I'm your host, Mayor Dan Saracki, broadcasting from top of the bay in beautiful downtown Oldsmar. Before we get started, I got a quick message. I want to thank Mark, Deb, and Barb for all you do for our city of Oldsmar. You guys are amazing. That's why we have this podcast. And I just want you to know that I appreciate all your hard work. And let's get started. My guest today helps keep Pinellas County on the move. Brad Miller is the Chief Executive Officer of the Pinellas Suncoast Transit Authority, locally known as PSTA, and I even wore his hat today. Thank you for being here, Brad.
Thank you for having me. I feel very motivated, and I'm on the bus and ready to go.
So this is your first podcast?
It is.
Well, welcome. The city of Oldsmar welcomes you here, and we're so grateful and thankful you're here. I understand you're from a really cool state. Where did you live growing up?
So I come from Pennsylvania, up north. My father was a professor at Penn State, so I lived where Penn State is, in State College, Pennsylvania. That's where I grew up. That's where I went to high school. And it was a great place to be.
So that high school was actually in walking distance of Penn State University? How was that like in high school living by a college?
It was awesome. My touch football games were on AstroTurf at the football stadium and the practice area. We took great advantage of a lot of the things that the campus, living next to a university has. And of course, like a lot of cities that have big universities, they had a really good public transit system to carry these students to and from campus.
And you took that transit system right there in Pennsylvania?
I did. I was on a bus from a very young age.
That's great. Well, now that's going to explain a lot of stuff we're going to be talking about today. So I have to ask, what is how do you say it, Nittany Lion?
A Nittany Lion, yeah. So I do bleed still a little bit blue and white, which is the colors of Penn State Nittany Lions. Nittany Lion is a mountain lion from what we call Happy Valley, which is where Penn State is, and that is because of Mount Nittany, which it shadows over the town and the football stadium. It's a big mountain, and it's called Mount Nittany, and that's named after Princess Nittany, who somehow through her magic powers, she created that mountain, and then hence the Nittany Lions that roam it.
Interesting. Didn't know anything about that. So it's actually a mountain.
It is.
Wow.
It is.
All right. So we have something kind of in common. I went to Syracuse University, took some classes. My wife worked there for 6 years, and actually we were on campus together. How was it at Syracuse University? Why don't you tell me your story?
It was snowy there. So I grew up in Pennsylvania. I went to undergrad down in Virginia. And then I got my master's in public administration from Syracuse. And boy, did I learn what snow was like by living there over a winter time. But it was great. I really enjoyed my program. And I never have to I never have to exaggerate when talking about how much snow there can be in a town.
That's funny because we were from Buffalo. When we moved to Syracuse, they say Buffalo gets all the snow. That's not true. Syracuse gets more snow than Buffalo.
I think you're right on that.
So your master's degree, what was that focused on at Syracuse University?
So I had actually, while I was in college, I had worked in both Washington, D.C., on Capitol Hill, working for my congressman from Pennsylvania. And then I also worked at the state government in Pennsylvania, in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And I had learned a lot through those experiences on things. I was a young person, and I felt like neither of those were really great places for me. And I remember saying to myself, well, I didn't want to work at the state government because they do very important things, but it's hard. A lot of people don't know what the state government does. And I really didn't feel connected to anything working in Washington, D.C. They deal with major issues that are way beyond what mostly hits us here in Oldsmar. And it was that experience at Syracuse and wanting to get a job at the local level. That's what my experience in Syracuse really taught me.
Wonderful. How did your degree help you evolve with your work in public transit today?
Well, yeah, exactly. So my dad was a professor at Penn State in transportation. And so I had had a lot of transportation experiences with my dad. So I tried desperately not to go into transportation coming out of Syracuse. And I applied for every possible job at the local level that I could. And I kept getting rejected. So finally, I called my father up, and he knew a lady down in Virginia where I wanted to kind of end up, because that's where my fiance was, now my wife. And she awarded grants for internships at transit systems across the state of Virginia. And so I, one weekend or week, I drove around with my fiance to places I'd never been before: Roanoke, Virginia, Charlottesville, Virginia, Richmond, and I got opportunities to take one of these jobs, and I selected the most interesting one, which was a commuter train that had just started up from the suburbs of D.C. into Washington, D.C., from Alexandria and Fredericksburg, Virginia, into Washington, D.C. And I think on the second day of my job, they said, "Hey, new guy, the train has broken down, and go out to the train station and tell all the passengers that the train's not coming and they got to get another way into work." And I did that. And remember, I had worked at the state level and at the federal level. And then I go out there to that train station, and oh my gosh, there was maybe 200 people there. They yelled at me. They were mad at me. Not that I had any idea how the train really worked, but that was a very impactful moment in my career, because I realized that transportation is something that really affects everybody. It certainly affected those folks. They were not going to be able to get into their jobs in D.C. Because the train was not running. And so I say, well, from that on, I was hooked. But it was really an impactful thing, showing that transportation is something that really affects our economy and gets people to jobs, gets people to school. Really has a great impact on so many people.
Thank you. That was a great story, and this is a great segue into our next subject, because your career in transit spans 30 years plus. And as an industry leader, what national and state transportation boards have you served on?
Oh, well, thank you. Yes, I've been in this business for a long time, so I've been honored to be on a number of transportation boards. First, here in Florida, I've been the chair of the Florida Public Transit Association, and still serve on that board of the state association that advocates for all of the transit systems in Florida. And we have a number of great systems. We've got, of course, PSTA, we've got Orlando, we've got Miami-Dade's got a great system, Jacksonville. That's been a great board to be on. And then I've had the honor of serving on the national board, the National Transit Association, which is called American Public Transit Association. I've served on their board. I still serve on their board. I've also gotten the opportunity to testify before Congress a couple of times on some of the innovative programs that we're doing at PSTA and how those might be applied in other parts of the country. And then one of my favorite things to do, because I am maybe it's coming from my parents being professors, always trying to learn new things. And so being part of the National Academies of Sciences Transportation Research Board, and being on different panels that study new and innovative topics in transportation, has been probably one of my favorite things to do, because I'm always learning new things. So being exposed to these different boards and committees, both locally and nationally, has just taught me so many different things about transportation that I can bring them back to Pinellas.
Perfect. That is why you're an industry transportation leader. Now I get it. So one quick question personally. So how, I went to DC with you this year. It was the first time I've been to DC since I was 8 years old. I mean, I went back. I was completely kind of really set back on how things have changed. When you went up to speak to Congress, how was that? I mean, how many people were in that room?
Well, It certainly, I don't know how many people stay up late at night and watch me on C-SPAN, but there was a pretty good number of people in the room, mostly people interested in transportation activities. The one interesting thing about testifying before Congress, you have to totally write your speech before you get up there, and you just have to read your speech. They don't expect you to be extemporaneous or tell jokes or anything. You just have to read your testimony into the record, and it goes pretty well.
There you go.
It goes pretty well. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing all that. That's actually kind of exciting for me because going to D.C. with you, that was a great experience. I learned so much, especially about transportation on that journey. Yeah. All right, let's talk about a couple of awards. In 2023, you were named one of Tampa Bay's most influential leaders by the Tampa Bay Business Journal. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that was a great honor, and I was very honored. I was honored for our agency to be recognized as, that public transportation in the Tampa Bay, that we are recognized as a leader in that area, and to try to move our whole region forward.
Exactly.
It's great.
Yeah, and plus for me, I met you right before COVID. I joined the board. Right. And when we were in that lobby of PSTA, we took that picture together. I said to you, Brad, I know nothing about transportation, but I'm ready to learn. And I just want to thank you. Since we're talking about leadership and awards, that I've learned so much from you. Thank you so much for all you've done for me in helping me understand how transportation works in Pinellas County. I really appreciate that. I want you to know that.
Thank you.
All right, let's talk about PSTA. They're offering all kinds of rider programs. And then being on the board, we've learned so much. Let's start with the Universal Pass program. Students ride PSTA for free.
Yes, well, as we all know, school has just started in Pinellas County, and we have a great program with Pinellas County Schools where all students and all faculty get to ride any PSTA service, any trolley, any bus in the county for free, by just showing their student ID when they get on the bus. And this comes in really handy. As we all know, the school district is under a lot of pressure to provide a lot of school transportation, and they are short on their drivers, hiring drivers for their yellow school buses. But the vast majority of high schools in Pinellas County, including Countryside High near here in Oldsmar, they have bus lines, PSTA bus lines that go right by, and any student can ride those buses for free. We are seeing this really take off especially with high school students, are taking the PSTA buses home after school or to a afternoon job that they might have, or maybe even just to the beach on the weekends. This is a great program that we're just trying to get the word out. More and more parents and students know that they can ride for free. We also have this same kind of UPass program with the St. Pete College in Pinellas County, USF St. Pete. Most of the college campuses in the area are riding for free.
That's a great program. I remember 2 years ago when we launched it.
Yeah.
And all they have to do is show their student ID.
Yeah.
They get on the bus. And I remember the board was concerned. We wanted to get the word out, and now it's just taken off. Largo, Dunedin High School, the buses are full with students. That's a great program.
That's right. Yeah.
All right. Just recently, the board, we just approved the contactless payment program, the Flamingo Fare. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So, of course, most of our services the PSA offers do require the passengers to pay a fare, and that's always a little bit daunting for folks to know the exact fare, know how to pay. I think we've just come on some new technology that we've just launched at PSTA that is sort of a game changer with that. Now you can pay any way you want. You can pay with credit card, debit card, just like you do anything nowadays, where you just tap. You can tap your Apple Pay on your phone. You can just tap the reader with your phone if you have your credit card on there, or you can, if you have a contactless credit card, you can just tap that. Credit, debit, cash cards, those are all accepted. And so now you don't necessarily need to buy a separate bus pass. You can just pay any way you want. And we're always going to take cash. You can always take cash, but we now offer these other types of payments. And we're already seeing that's very popular, especially with tourists who come from other areas who ride our trolleys when they come to the beach for a vacation. They don't know what the fare is, but they want to ride the trolley, and then now they're just using their Apple Pay or their Google Wallet or whatever they want to do to ride.
That's great. Yeah. That seems to be very successful for everyone all around.
Yep.
All right, we're going to talk about the new Sunrunner. Now, I remember I just got on the board, and you invited me to St. Petersburg for the groundbreaking. We did it at the baseball stadium, Tropicana, and I came up for the day, and I was out of town. I came back because I wanted to be there, and that was just an amazing thing. Being, just getting involved in PSTA and being there with all the leaders around Pinellas County. Today, it is so successful. Tell us about it.
It is incredibly successful. The Sunrunner is the Tampa Bay's first rapid transit system that we've been able to implement here throughout the entire Tampa Bay. And the reason that I think you saw so many leaders, current and past leaders, be very excited about it is because of how long it's taken the Tampa Bay region and all the different efforts over the years to try to get different, rail systems built or bus systems built or even monorails has been discussed. The Sunrunner, which is a bus rapid transit line that goes from downtown St. Petersburg to the beach, is the first. And this is a rapid system. It has its own lane for most of the running. It is more like a train where it has stations, not stops, where you just stand there. All the doors open up. You just get on. You go right to the beach. And what we're seeing is a lot of people at the beach are taking it to the Rays games or taking it to events in downtown St. Petersburg. It's been incredibly successful. It is getting people that have cars, that are leaving their car at home and choosing the Sunrunner because it's just as fast as driving your car. You don't have to pay for parking. It's a great way to travel. And it's launched last October. We're already at 860,000 rides already and growing. I think we'll have an event to celebrate the millionth rider. Probably in about a month we'll hit that. So yeah, the Sunrunner has been very, very successful, and we're hoping that it'll be a catalyst toward expanding transit throughout the entire Tampa Bay region.
I remember that at one of the board meetings, we actually had $5 million left over. Tell us what we did with that money.
Yeah, so the Sunrunner construction actually came in under budget, which was amazing. And we're very grateful for that. And we came in $5 million under budget. And so we are reinvesting that $5 million. We're required because it's mostly federal funds to reinvest that in the Sunrunner. And so what we're doing with that is we're building a new station right down by the St. Pete Pier, which has been a #1 request. It's very, very popular. It wasn't around when we designed the Sunrunner to begin with, but now we'll be able to have a station right by the pier, and I think that will just increase ridership even more. And then in order to service that station and to just provide better service on the weekends and for big events, we are purchasing some additional Sunrunner buses, which have been very popular as well.
3 more, correct? 3 more buses? Yes, which are needed. Will be needed. Yeah, thank you for that. I'm excited. I took the Sunrunner. I mean, it was 20 minutes from downtown to the beach.
Yeah.
It just right through the lights all turned green. It was very exciting. Looking forward to the success of that. Let's talk about electric buses. Being on the board really almost unanimously bid, yes, we want electric buses. Let's hear about it.
Yeah, well, I've seen throughout my 30 years in transportation, but the transportation world evolves. And as we all have seen, the world is sort of moving away from the combustion engine on vehicles to electric cars and electric buses. Zero emission buses are becoming more and more popular. And PSTA has historically purchased the largest number of zero-emission electric buses in the state of Florida, with a action by our board now coming up on about a year and a half ago to purchase 60 additional electric buses. And those are starting to come in. PSTA has about 240 buses total, so we're just starting. By the end of this, we'll have about a third of our fleet being zero emission, and then the rest of our buses will be hybrid electric buses, which are very low emission. And so we're very happy about that. We want to demonstrate our sustainability, our resiliency as a transportation option for the county, and going electric has been very positive of that. The riders like it because they don't emit any pollution. They're not like the old diesel buses that you might remember, and they're very quiet. They're very clean. It's been very, very positive going electric.
So I sit with on the finance committee with the PSTA, which I absolutely treasure. I love that committee. You took us on a tour week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, and we went and we talked, and Duke Energy showed up, and we went on a tour about the parking lot, the infrastructure that the PSTA is currently designing so that we can charge all these buses. Let's talk about that for 1 minute. Tell us about it.
Yeah, we have a great relationship with Duke Energy, and they've been a great partner along the way. Of course, they're very interested in selling us a lot of electricity to power all of our buses going around the county. So they are installing the infrastructure in our parking lot where the buses stay at night so that the buses charge every night before they go out in the morning. And the battery, the ranges we're getting on the newest buses we're getting in now are so much more than the original electric buses we got, and now the range is really competing. It's about the same that we were getting on an old diesel bus. So that partnership with Duke will really pay off in the future. We're going to need less and less diesel fuel and more electricity.
So let's thank you. I wanted to share that with the listeners, especially because that is a huge undertaking, that whole Duke Energy. I want to move on to Ava. We did some stuff in Dunedin, St. Petersburg, and Clearwater. And Ava is a driverless machine.
It's an autonomous vehicle.
Right.
That's right. We were it's an autonomous little bus, little shuttle bus. And when we launched that during the pandemic in St. Petersburg, it was the first time an autonomous shuttle had been run on an open road with other cars, with human-driven cars. They'd only been run on test tracks before that. And it was very, very successful. The technology which is a lot of cameras and seeing eyes and sensors to sense their surroundings, worked perfectly in St. Petersburg. We then tried it in Dunedin. We took it to the Blue Jays spring training games, and Canadians liked the autonomous shuttle as well. And then we took it to, during spring break, Clearwater Beach. And boy, that is lots of traffic and lots of pedestrians crossing, and it worked perfectly. The autonomous technology is really advanced. I think we're going to keep partnering with autonomous technology in the future. I mean, is it going to replace human-driven buses anytime soon? No, I don't think so. But I think more and more it's advancing. Now they're coming out with a new autonomous vehicle. The Ava vehicles that we had, the maximum speed was 15 miles an hour. The new autonomous buses that they're coming out with can go 45 miles an hour. So there are just more and more advancements in that area. And that I definitely want PSTA to be always viewed as cutting edge or being willing to try innovations to see if we can improve the transportation in Pinellas. That's a key part of what we do.
Well, I took a ride on that in St. Petersburg and Dunedin. I was at all of the ribbon cuttings for that, and it was pretty neat. It was just a little joystick that you could control it if you needed to, but it just drove by itself. Thanks for sharing that with our listeners. All right, let's go to Oldsmar. We're going to talk about what is the main route number in the city of Oldsmar for PSTA. What's that bus all about?
So we have two services. We have three services that service Oldsmar. I think fairly successfully. Our main fixed route service is the Route 67, which really starts in downtown Clearwater, goes up through Dunedin to Countryside Mall, and then over Tampa Road to through Oldsmar. into Oldsmar. And that service is popular. About 6,000 people ride that every month on Route 67. We also have the Route 812, which is a smaller vehicle that runs just from Countryside Mall through Oldsmar over into Hillsborough County to connect to the transit center up in Town and Country and back. And that is our most popular connector route that we've got. That one, which is really one of the only ways to get to North Hillsborough from Pinellas, has been popular as well. The third program we have, which is served throughout Pinellas County, is for people with disabilities. Our PSTA Access Service is one of the largest services for people with disabilities in the state of Florida, and we're doing a lot of innovative things with that. Rather than the traditional way of just having to call and make a reservation for a ride tomorrow, you can now call us and get a ride right now. Like if you're done with our lunch or our podcast here, I could call and get a PSTA Access ride in 10 minutes. And that has been incredibly popular. I know that is people in Oldsmar take advantage of that as well.
They absolutely do. I see that little bus driving around Oldsmar all the time, picking up people.
Yeah. Great
service for our city. So how many bus stops do we have here in our city? Do we have a total?
We have 35 different bus stops in the city of Oldsmar.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. And again, those services connect to places like Countryside Mall, connect to Dunedin. You can get over to Tampa. You can access and connect over to the HART system through the services here in Oldsmar.
Do you know what is the most popular bus stop here in Oldsmar? Which one the most people get on to go on the bus?
Oh, I see. Well, we have maybe a tie. I see from our notes here that Racetrack Road and 490 is about the same ridership level as St. Petersburg Drive and State Street, which is near here, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Obviously, most of our ridership, all of our ridership has a destination. And so where you have key destinations like this area here in sort of the downtown Oldsmar area, no doubt that's why it's very popular.
Well, I think that's all I have for you today, Brad. All I can tell you is I'm so happy you're here, number one. Number two, thank you for all you do for PSTA. Honored to be on that board with you and serve with all of the other elected officials around the county, especially the commissioners from Pinellas County Board. I love working with all those people. I've learned so much from all of them, and you and your staff. I want to thank your staff for all they do for me in the city of Oldsmar. I think you guys do a great job. Is there anything last that you want to share with us today before we close this off?
Well, thank you, Mayor. It's been a very great honor to be on this podcast with you, and thank you so much for serving on PSTA. You're a fantastic vice chair of PSTA, I might add, on the PSTA board. But I do want to just break a little bit of news here with you, Mayor, if I could. I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast that the National Association of all of the transportation systems across the country is called APTA, American Public Transportation Association. And I am very honored to announce that PSTA, out of all of the transit systems across the country, has been selected in 2023 as the Outstanding Public Transit Agency of the Year. I've known that, and I know you've known that we're number one for a while, but now we are being recognized as number one in the country.
That is incredible.
Yes,
that is just great news.
Yes.
Fantastic.
It's a fantastic honor. It's a testament to the great work, as you mentioned, of the PSTA staff, the 650 men and women that work there, and the PSTA board has been very supportive. And it's a combined effort that got us that award. Very competitive. Like last year, Kansas City's system won it. The year before that was Sacramento, California. So put PSTA on the map. Yeah.
I am humbled and honored to be the vice chair of the vice president of the PSTA. When you get that award, I can't wait to see it. I'm excited.
Yes, it'll be very exciting. We're going to actually get the award in about 6 weeks from now. But I got the word just before we recorded this podcast.
Yay!
So I was very excited to announce
Congratulations to you and your staff. Well deserved. Great, great, great. All right. Thank you, Brad, for being my guest today. I'm very grateful. To find a list of podcast segments, visit experienceoldsmar.com, or you can go to myoldsmar.com and just type in and search Mayor Podcast, and you can find them all. Thank you, Brad.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm your host, Mayor Dan Saracki. Until next time, I invite you to check out all the great things to do and experience Oldsmar. There's so much going on in our parks, at the BMX track, Gold Disc Golf. If you like playing disc golf, check it out, or even go on the zip line. Thank you guys. Have a great day, and I love Oldsmar.